The tragedy in lawmakers concerned for their own safety. New York Congressman Peter King plans to introduce legislation making it illegal to carry a gun within 1,000 feet of a member of Congress. Congresswoman Bono Mack of California joins me now from Capitol Hill. Would that make you feel safer if there was a ban on carrying a weapon near you?
First of all, thank you for having me. And no, actually, it probably wouldn't. Clearly, this deranged gunman had a plan, and nothing would have stopped him like that. So often we're quick to offer legislation, but sometimes we need to think carefully about what we're doing and make sure it's really in the best interest of everybody.
I know that Congresswoman Giffords was a dear friend of yours, is a dear friend of yours, and I'm just curious, does it make you reconsider the public events you undertake?
Well, for a while, we've really had to think a little bit about security, not only for me, and clearly we've seen this past week the security of anybody who attends one of these events. So, we've had to work on it for quite some time. But, your first question about Gabby, every member of Congress is a friend of Gabby's. She is the most delightful, kindest member of Congress that we have. I can tell you one thing that my husband's a member of Congress too, and one thing he and I are both saying is we cannot wait until the day that Gabby walks back on this floor and joins us again in this body, and we believe with all of our hearts that she will join us as soon as she can.
And just talking about security for the lawmakers, because it's something that's been addressed. You guys don't get your own private security detail when you're back in your districts, but it was reported that you had extra security, that there was extra police presence with you when you attended the film festival in Palm Springs over the weekend. Is that normal for you to have local police protection?
Well, ordinarily for our security back in our districts, it is coordinated between the Capitol Hill Police and our local law enforcement. They determine the level of protection that's necessary, and they decide what they're going to do. I think we have a lot of questions to answer, and we have to figure out how we're going to manage this. But I just want to say that at the same time, we didn't know what to do. I had the sheriffs for part of the day and a police department, the Palm Springs Police Department for part of the day. And we all did decide, though, if there were truly an incident elsewhere, they would leave me and go handle that. So the Congress has to figure out a lot of these answers as we move forward. It's important that we continue the dialogue with our constituents, not only in physical manner, but electronically we're doing it. It's very important to our job, and we all plan to continue to do as much of that as we can.
Well, and to that end, there are a lot of people who are pointing to the heightened vitriol that's happening in public discourse, the talking about your political opponents being your enemies, the use of gun kind of language when you're talking about taking on opponents. I mean, where do you come down on a call for more civility?
Well, I believe I've always stood for more civility, and I know that Gabby has also always stood for more civility. It's a terrible time to be pointing fingers politically in any direction right now. It's important that we, give this a little time to sort out and put our best minds to these issues that we're all confronted with right now. But I look at the greatest statesmen of our history, and they are my role models for how we ought to conduct ourselves politically. I don't look at the sort of inflammatory rhetoric. I don't try to do it that way, and hopefully other people will realize it doesn't improve our country at all by screaming at each other.
Congresswoman, you told me that Gabby was trying to organize even a bipartisan show of support for Christmas carols over the holidays. Hopefully we'll see more of that in Washington, D.C. in the days and weeks and months to come. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back.